there's a lot of e-commerce sites out there. And I'm not talking about big ones like we all think of Amazon.com, right? But there's a lot of small and medium-sized e-commerce websites out there that are just, unbeknownst to most of us, selling their wares. And a lot of these companies are kind of stuck in the same pattern. They probably use traditional search applications. And as you're going to see in this post, there's nothing at all wrong with that. But the historic problem with lexical search is that when you're tuning it, it takes a lot of effort to go to the next level, just to make it incrementally a little bit better. And what I want to show you guys in this blog post is that we're missing out on how easy it is these days to just get to the next level using AI. So for these small and medium-sized companies, there's a decent opportunity for you to not have to worry about hiring that giant ML team or data scientist. You can get a good portion of the way there by just turning on AI. So let's dive into it. The first thing is let's dispel some of the mysticism around RAG and agentic AI. In 2024, that's when RAG was all the rage. And there are so many black box offerings for RAG. You just plug this in, aim this at your documents, and poof. I even said it right here. Poof. You'll get a top level search application right out of the box. But the problem is, if something went wrong, it was basically impossible to figure out how to debug it and repair it. So in another post, we'll talk about how it's pretty easy to make this black box transparent. And kind of to spoil that post, it's really, there's nothing much to it. RAG is just agentic AI, and one of the tools is a search tool. That's it. Now, of course, that runs afoul of the very next word, agentic. 2025 was the year of agentic AI. But also, this is another concept that was overblown. By the end of 2025, here we are in early 2026, and we've realized that an agent is basically just a large language model request wrapped inside of a for loop to do multiple tool calls, and then optionally, if you want to make it an assistant, you wrap it inside another for loop so that you get the user content, the user conversation inside the loop. And we'll see examples of all this right here. All right, so this is where, if you're reading the blog post, I've got a lot of information, but we're going to go ahead and jump directly into our example. E-commerce sites are starting with traditional search. And let's say you type in something like, I'm looking for a large family home with 3 to 4 bedrooms. I misspelled it. Oops. Comma, new to the market. Now, with traditional search, it's going to take all this information and search through the title field for it and search through the description field for it. So probably, since you don't have your data scientist and machine learning team, you're going to try tricks like padding out kind of a dumping ground field where, if they say things like this, hopefully you'll catch it in at least one of the fields. When obviously, just looking at this, what they really want is a large family home. They probably want a house, but maybe we could go with a townhouse as well. 3 or 4 bedrooms, it's misspelled, but we know what it meant. New to market, sort by, let's see, newest first, there we go. And large, I don't know, what's large? A couple of these options down here. Oops, a little bug in my demo, but you'll forgive me, I'm sure. All right, so that's kind of the starting point. Now, some people will say, okay, AI, that's all the rage, so I'm going to go the full way, and I'm going to just delete this whole app, and we're going to turn it into some sort of conversational assistant experience. Conversational assistants are great. We'll get to that. But before you throw the baby out with the bathwater, admit that, you put a lot of work into this, and it's not bad. You are a successful e-commerce business. So what I would recommend doing is kind of an incremental adoption approach. And the first one is to keep the exact same application. This is the same search. This is the same user experience, UI, same latency, because we're not doing anything special with it, except that asynchronously, we're submitting another request into the background and saying, hey, large language model, look at this and look at, our options for facets and stuff. And what do you think this means? Well, it thinks that it means, look at there, property type, house or townhouse. So it got both those that I wanted, 3 or 4 bedrooms, over 1,000 square feet. So it's being a bit more lenient with what I mean by large, but that's okay. Search terms, it's going to go ahead and dump that back into a title and description search just in case, and it's figured out the sorting. And so what you can do just for the simple affordance of 50 to 100 pixels on the vertical pixels on the screen, you can create an experience where the AI is starting to recommend what we think they mean. And let's try all sorts of stuff. What you need to do at this point is to start measuring things. How often do your users see this new affordance? How often among those times are they actually clicking on it and actually going to whatever the AI thought was a good idea? And then, of course, are they converting more regularly or not for this pipeline? If they are, if things look interesting, then maybe it's time to turn it up a notch. That's where we get to intermediate search. With intermediate search, we're starting to let the agent take the wheel and drive. So when we search for something, rather than saying, did you mean this? We say, we think you meant this. And there are some trade-offs at this point that you have to be aware of. You have to measure and make sure they're appropriate. For instance, I'm sure you noticed the page load. Rather than, a hot 50 milliseconds, that took a good second or two to load. And I'm an old school search guy myself. Wrote a book on it. Oh, there. And so I know how painful it is for every little millisecond of latency that you add to the response. But we're kind of entering a new paradigm. If it takes 50 milliseconds for a traditional search response to come back, and 2 seconds, 3 seconds even for a large language model response to come back, then think about it. This still typically pales in comparison to how much time it would cost your user to reevaluate their search, make a new search, and likely they're not going to do it anyways. This is, as soon as they make a search and you're searching across the title and description field for all this information, that's when they're going to say, this search doesn't get me, and then they're going to abandon the application. But if you can automatically say, aha, you mean a house or townhouse, 3 or 4 bedrooms, we got you covered here with square feet, then the user is going to trust that the search is understanding them and guiding them more efficiently to the answers they seek, despite the latency increase. Again, you should measure it. The metrics will give you the true answer to my hypothesis here. Notice that during the intermediate stage, this is not the only addition and change to the experience. Not only are we kind of taking the wheel and driving, but we're also able to provide some nice other affordances for the user. In this case, I've instructed the large language model to create a summary for these search results and to create several recommendations for subsequent searches that we can make. This is going to keep the user engaged. For one thing, and your own site, you might want to do this differently. There's probably easier ways to summarize things, but you can show the user what they're going to find in all these search results without having them dig around through everything. They could, quickly skim this and say, oh, okay, it's interpreting a little bit incorrectly. I thought of something else. I'm going to do, I don't want Hyde-Ashbury. I want something else. You can think of other things. Allow your users to think of other things and drop that into the search. Also, maybe this is close, but it's not quite. We can recommend other very contextualized searches based on the contents of the search results, and you can get this information back to the users. Now, unfortunately, this was a particularly long load. My server might have gone to sleep. But notice that this secondary summary is asynchronous, so you don't have to do everything all at once. We get the results back, and then once they're back in visibility, we can issue the secondary request to summarize the results and come up with some other recommended filters. At this point, we are having a prototypical version of a conversation with a user. They have asked us a question, we've provided an answer, and we've provided some analysis around it. The only thing that keeps this from being a full-fledged conversation is if it was stateful. And this is where we wrap the one more loop around it, and we go to the advanced interface, the advanced experience, where everything is a chat. We've done away with the search box because now we can chat with somebody that's got our back, someone that knows everything about our inventory and can help us navigate it more easily. And you're going to get some interesting stuff like this from this. Like instead of saying a large family home, 3 to 4 bedrooms near the market, I might just start up with something simple. I want a big ass house. Ha! You're going to get some interesting interactions because the customers are going to recognize that they can depend upon the common sense built into the large language models. They're going to depend upon, hopefully, you doing a good job about telling the model this is the affordances of search. This is, the basic terminology that we use. And okay, well, what's a big house? Big ass house. What's a house? 4 to 5 bedrooms, over 2,500 square feet. So that seems pretty good. But when you have a stateful conversation, you can also, kind of have a back and forth with the assistant of this. You can say, check this out. I yell at my computer to program now. Well, I need something that's new to the market. All right. And it's not going to create a new search based on that. It's going to incorporate the new knowledge it just learned into what you already told it, sort by newest first. And if you happen to still be on lexical search, RAG was often sold to us as vector search only. Lexical search was kind of forgotten for a while. But lexical search has some superpowers. So for example, check this out. Lexical search, we're showing 10 of the 32 results here that match our query. But lexical search can look over the aggregate information, or you could have aggregations running in the background that the customers never see at all. And you can do stuff like this. Give me an idea about the price distribution of every property in the catalog using these filters. What it can do, if you shape the application appropriately, is it can actually look into this aggregate information and explain things that semantic search, vector search, would not really quite have the same capabilities on. Just kind of one neat side effect of lexical search. That's why you should still consider it, in my opinion, for the first option. But as you can see, it actually did look at these results and picked out the number of houses available in those price ranges. It's not the prettiest representation, but you have your own search app, and I'm sure you'd spend time and make it look a lot better than I have here. But anyway, that is it. I wanted to show you how easy it was to adopt AI for e-commerce. So if you're one of the bazillions of Shopify sites, small or medium e-commerce shops out there, then think about it. This whole application took me about 10 hours to make. You can go to this website here, which you probably started on, and you can click here and try the application out for yourself and see what you think. And if you want to really fast track it, then make sure you contact me. There's subscription links everywhere. The homepage has a subscription and a contact form at the bottom. So thanks, and I'll see you next time.